A lot of talk about Disney and WWE. We're going to dissect a new article from CNBC. Very interesting stuff about possible Disney acquisitions. Also, in addition to that, we got to talk about a new Impact Wrestling signing, why I favor this type of signing. And then also, we have an update on Nash Carter, WWE's release. Very, very interesting stuff there. Guys, for more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button, ring that bell, and don't forget to weigh in on the conversation. Hit that, comment section, maybe even the Discord server, whatever it may be. We're going to talk about it. First, really quick, we're going to give you guys an update on Nash Carter. Now, one of the things about Nash Carter's whole situation is that there was allegations made from his wife, Kimberly. Now, I did provide the update to you guys yesterday that he was released by WWE, and now it's been revealed from Brian Alvarez. He noted some things about those tweets and everything with these allegations. This is what Brian Alvarez had to say. He says, "What I was told is that the reason that they won the tag team titles this weekend, even though the allegations were out there, the reason that happened was because it was not believed that Kimberly was reliable. That's what I was told. They did not believe her story. NXT, I don't know what kind of investigations they do. I don't know what happened. Whatever happened, they determined that she was not credible. That's why they put the tag team titles on MSK." Alvarez did reveal that he was not actually released by WWE for these allegations, but instead it was the Adolf Hitler photo that got him released. People in WWE did not believe in the allegations. He also went on to say, "I don't know this on 100%, but everyone going into Saturday thought the Creed brothers were going to win. All I can tell you is that the Creeds were told to have your family at the show, so I think the Creeds also thought they were winning for whatever reasons. They put the belts back on MSK. They were breaking up Imperium because I think the idea was going to be Marcel Barthel and Gunther going up to the main roster, and Fabian Eichner was going to be a singles guy in NXT, which I'm actually not against that, by the way. But now there's going to be a very, very interesting situation because the tag team championships, obviously, nobody really knows what the future holds with that. Now, a lot of this stuff is happening in NXT with Nash Carter. Obviously, that photo was floating around. In terms of allegations, we're just bringing you guys the update. You can form your own opinion on all of this and do your own research. Now, as far as WWE's Tag Team Championship belts in NXT, I do believe it is going to be a tricky situation. All right, guys. It has been revealed that Impact Wrestling has signed Savannah Evans. Now, as you know, when I cover Impact Wrestling, Impact, I feel like, has been stepping up their programming. Yes, I've read the comments. Yes, I hear you. Production has improved a little bit, but yes, I do feel like they need to improve a little bit more. But overall, I feel like Impact has been doing a solid job lately. And, Savannah Evans is not the biggest name, but Savannah Evans is somebody who is going to add depth to that women's division. That Knockouts division is really significant in pro wrestling. And it just goes to show you how great the women's division is in 2022 across all of these companies. Between AEW, Impact, and WWE, factor in NXT as well, there's just a lot of great women who are contributing to these shows. And I think in order for wrestling to continue to evolve and get better, across the board, everybody has to have a different strategy when it comes to signing talent. And I think that's something that a lot of people seem to ignore. But it's one of the things for me, honestly, like you gotta be different, right? And Savannah Evans is not a huge name. She's obviously been on Impact before. She's been on some stories and stuff like that. But it's not Impact just immediately signing whoever's been released. And even my thing too, like when I complain about AEW signing former WWE stars, it's not because they come from WWE. My issue is that the roster gets bloated. And I do think that is something that is getting solved now that Tony Khan buys ROH. Hopefully we start to have a vision of what ROH will look like, because now the bloated roster won't be an issue. But look at the strategies, right? WWE has the Next in Line program where they are pretty much signing people that have no wrestling background. If they are an indie wrestler, they're not opposed to it, but they're not signing the entire class to be indie wrestlers, which is something that was revealed by Johnny Gargano. When you look at AEW obviously brings in indie talent, but for the most part lately, it seems a lot of their talent have come from WWE, which again, I'm not even opposed to. I just don't want to see these rosters get bloated. And the same thing could be said with Impact. Impact has signed a couple former WWE superstars. And again, I don't have an issue with that. Impact actually doesn't have a bloated roster. And I like the fact that Impact has been bringing in a lot of independent talent. We saw that with Speedball Mike Bailey, now Savannah Evans. I think everybody has a good strategy. It's just how can you make sure that your rosters don't get bloated? And again, AEW now has ROH, so that should definitely help once we see ROH come into effect. I think Impact doesn't really have a bloated roster right now, but I do get worried that eventually they'll be headed that way, just because there's so many free agents. And then WWE, obviously, you guys know how I feel about their bloated roster. It's causing opportunities to be very, very scarce. With that being said, it's a cool thing. Savannah Evans has a lot of opportunities and Impact, a lot of big potential there. Very interesting to see what's going to transpire, especially with Tasha Steelz and Chelsea Green and Mickie James, and just a nice balance of veterans and young talent. It should be really cool. All right, guys, and for our final story of the day, there's been a lot of talk about Disney and WWE. This obviously becomes a big conversation for a lot of wrestling fans because, sometimes people look at, buyouts and stuff like this as a bad thing. I really don't know if it's a bad thing for WWE to get bought out by Disney. If you look at what Disney is known for, it's the intellectual properties of all of these different characters, and WWE is really no different as is right now, and WWE isn't even owned by Disney. Now, with that being said, Alex Sherman from CNBC had an article released today that stated UFC, Formula One, and WWE could be the next acquisition targets for streaming giants. Now, he gives off a lot of reasons as to why. He also mentions the history of Disney and UFC. So very, very interesting stuff there. But when you look at WWE, it's probably the biggest and most realistic target for Disney based on what I said earlier about those intellectual properties and the characters and everything like that. And then obviously the reason why Disney didn't buy UFC before was because of the blood and the gruesome that is associated with mixed martial arts, whereas WWE is a more family-friendly product. Obviously Disney and WWE would make more sense than, let's say, AEW and Disney. Now, with that being said, whether or not WWE buy, whether they get sold to Disney, it's a huge rumor. It's been a rumor for a year. 8 months ago or so, we talked about the rumor that WWE was preparing to sell. WWE will always tell you that they're in business and they're always taking calls. But this is a very, very interesting situation because now it's starting to get a little bit more mainstream attention that potentially WWE can be an acquisition for Disney. I think Disney buying WWE doesn't necessarily make WWE better or worse, but that is largely due to the fact that WWE right now has a lot of striking resemblances to Disney. I do fear that maybe WWE going to Disney could just overall kill the wrestling business. But even that too, AEW has great financial backing. I think Tony Khan is obviously very passionate about what he does. So I don't know if the wrestling business as a whole gets absolutely destroyed, but I don't think it is healthy for WWE to not exist. I know a lot of people want WWE to die. I do not want WWE to die. I think when you look at how big WrestleMania is and all of these companies, they get to benefit from that too. And again, I don't think there's any chance that WWE dies out as a business. Their brand is growing. They're making more money than ever. I just don't know what to expect from Disney. Would it be an aggressive change? Would it not be an aggressive change? I don't know. But again, mainstream attention to now this topic of being a possible acquisition. Let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see Disney buy out WWE? Again, CNBC, all of these mainstream people talking about the potential acquisition for WWE joining Disney. In a way, WWE is just like Disney right now. You got all of these different characters, all of these different intellectual properties. I think that could be a very interesting scenario. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I don't want to speak too soon, but I want to know what you guys think.